just girls being kind and sweet while saying, I'm going to cut your balls off. Ooh, you know, I used to run a suicide hotline that was underground for years when I lived in Virginia, and it worked. I mean, we saved a lot of lives. At the time, people didn't use the terms consent so much, you know, it was just like being cool, you know. I get to be picky now that I'm a blonde with big boobs. I didn't always get that. A lot of trans women just aren't asking for help. They're not getting the mental health stuff they need. All the money from that goes directly to saving trans lives.
Welcome back to another episode of Uncensored. Today we have Lucy Hart, also known as Mama Hart, with us today. Lucy Hart is the first trans woman to star in a movie in nationwide theaters playing a trans woman. They are also the only person to win adult film awards as multiple genders, male, non-binary, and trans female. And she currently splits her time between running a suicide hotline for trans women called Down Divas, acting, directing, and writing for different parts of her adult industry work. Welcome, Lucy.
Thank you, Tommy.
I'm really excited to have you on here. We met at Eros Unbound, which is we write and we talk in front of a crowd around erotica stories hosted by Laura Desiree, who was literally just here.
Just got to see Laura.
Yeah. And I was blown away by like the stories that you're sharing and the journey that you've been on. For people who don't know you, I would love to kind of like, you know, paint a background on you.
Sure.
How did you get into the adult industry? When did you realize you were kinky?
So I realized I was kinky. I didn't know this kid before I knew what sex was.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a real youngster, I was obsessed with like pretty girls hurting me, you know, and putting things in my butt. And I didn't know what sex was at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
I intuitively knew that's not the kind of thing you can tell grown-ups, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just like kept it in. I have like a really serious pantyhose fetish too. Just growing up in the 80s, seeing like, you know, in the time girls worked out in like high cut leotards and pantyhose.
And you need to bring that back.
I have done everything I can to bring that back. I'm telling you, I have shot so many movies where I dressed the girls up in pantyhose and high cut leotards, and they made a lot of money because the guys that spend money on porn also grew up in the 80s or were around during that time. So they like have that idea of like, also, they make everyone look really good. You know, like they really shape the legs and it just shapes the body. So I've fought that cause, you know, to bring that back. And every now and then it kind of shows up in like Instagram reels and I'm like, yes, but it doesn't quite. I mean, also it's not that functional because I mean, if you work out in pantyhose and you have a vagina, it's like not the best, like overall. Apparently I don't have one, but I just like them a lot. I don't own one.
So you've always knew that you liked mean girls bullying you.
Yeah. Well, not really bully. It's funny. Speaking of kink stuff, I hate bullying. It's
just
like
mean, not bullying.
I honestly, not even mean. I like it when girls hurt my balls. And I have like a castration fetish, which may or may not be a trans thing. Who knows? But I don't like being talked to in a bitchy way or being mean or bullying or any, like all that stuff's like hard nosed for me, you know? When I made femdom porn, my site was sweetfemdom.com. It was just girls being kind and sweet while saying, I'm going to cut your balls off, ooh, you know, like that. And a lot of hard kicks in the balls and then pegging with like huge dicks and stuff like that. And a lot of making guys eat their own cum and stuff like that. But none of it was like bratty or bitchy. And I think that's what stuck it out. And it was the, for a while anyway, it was the biggest pegging site in the world. You know what I mean? We went places with it. And now someone else owns it, but they're doing things with it too. So, but yeah, I was always knew I was into that. And then first time I got to do it with someone else, 2007, I think. So I was like mid-20s, you know, like 26 maybe, something like that. I don't know what it was. I was jerking off to a Dom's ad. And, you know, back then, that was one of the best ways they didn't have a lot of porn with girls in high-cut stuff and pantyhose or fishnets, like in strap-ons fucking guys, you know? Until I came along. I mean, I made that, you know? But so if I wanted to jerk off, I would look at Dom's ads and blogs and stuff like that and just jerk off to that. And this one Dom was in Baltimore touring, And I didn't even know what touring was at the time, right? But I just saw on her blog, hey, I'll be in Baltimore this day, need a sub for a film, email me. And I was like mid jerking off with one hand, emailed her and like, hey, I can be there tomorrow. Do you need to see pictures? And she got right back to me. It was like meant to be. And she said, no pics needed, just show up with your ID. And I was like, okay, like it's that easy. And we did. It ended up not being cool. It was no consent talk whatsoever. I show up, I'm gagged, masked, bound, and it was like hardcore CBT and ball busting for like 4 hours.
For the first time, wow.
For the first time, no way to say red or like no safe word, no nothing.
Wow.
It was brutal. And my now friend Lexi Sandell showed up in the middle of the scene to like jump in and didn't know what was going on. I guess assumed that like we had gone over it and I was like down with all that. So she's like jumping in and they're both like fucking me up really hard. And then after they take the mask off and like the hood, and apparently I was like green, I was just like just traumatized, right?
Oh.
And Lexi felt awful and was like, oh my God. And like, Thora, what the fuck? I was like talking to the other Dom. And I never talked to Thora again, the lady that set that up, but Lexi and I ended up being really good friends. Lexi still runs Femdom Empire, also one of the biggest femdom sites in the world. And I've like made friends with Lexi over the years, worked for her a ton, and she's actually really fucking cool. But that was how we met, and that was my first time in porn. And it's wild because after that, I was like, oh, maybe I don't want my balls hurt, because it was my only experience and it was like bad. But the kink prevails, like that was whether it's my orientation or my kink or whatever, there was no shoving it down or pretending I didn't want that. And a little while later, I don't know if it was months or a year, I ended up paying a Dom. I was on a business trip in New York and I paid a Dom at Pandora's Box. This is way back, probably 2008. And it was awesome. It was like so good. We talked about like how much pressure and how to hurt my balls and what I was cool with, what I wasn't.
Yeah, skilled. She knew what she was doing.
Yeah, just like knew the basics of consent. As at the time, people didn't use the terms consent so much. It was just like being cool. like I don't know. And I wish I knew her name. I wish I knew what she was up to now because I bet we'd be friends now. But I don't know if she still works or anything. But Anyway, it was great. And I came so hard, and I ate it all and it was great. And then I was like, maybe I do like this stuff. Maybe this is cool. And then I replied to a different ad. At the time, I was a broke, like couch surfing idiot dude, doing I just couldn't keep a job. I'm like too autistic and just neurodivergent to like handle working in an office or construction sites or anything like that. Like I do great for a few months and then I make it weird, I don't know. Anyway, so, but I never stopped working. I never like was like, I got fired again. I'll just pity party. I'd get fired from a job and I'd put an ad on Backpage or respond to ads on Backpage and Craigslist, whatever. I'd mow people's lawns for money or help someone move for cash or whatever. And I saw this ad saying male models needed. And I was like, I knew I was handsome, but I didn't think I was tall enough to be a model. But anyway, replied to the ad, sent some pics, and that was Sean Cody, which at the time was like the biggest gay porn company. It was like the glamour gay porn, like, I don't know, like Brazzers is that of straight porn. Like that's what that was of gay porn. And they met me, flew me out, signed me in a 2-year contract. And next thing I know, I'm making like $3,000 a scene. And like that was off to the races doing gay porn. And I loved it. And then when the contract was up, bought a shitty camera from Walmart in the middle of the night, started a business at like 4 a.m., put an ad on Backpage, and this awesome chick showed up at like 5 a.m. and needed money, and I needed someone to kick me in the balls and fuck me with a strap on, and we just high-fived and gave her all my money, and that $2,000, it's like all I had in my name was $2,000 that night. That was my rent money, actually. Like it was really dumb of me to do that. But I put the content on Clips for Sale, and my autism is very powerful when it comes to seeing patterns and stuff like that. I knew how to market it on Clips for Sale and like kind of rank up. And no one had to tell me how to do that. Anyway, 2 weeks later, I made $10,000 and I was like, whoa, okay. So I quit my day job and I've just been a pro sex worker since then in various facets, you know, and we've come a long way, you know.
Yeah, what a journey.
It's been a while.
I also didn't know you were into like subbing with ball busting and pegging too. I was like, we did that double with Bax. I could have been doing that to you the whole time too.
It's so cool being on the other side of it too. Like now I'm one of the girls doing it. So like being a trans girl, I became Lucy 2-3 years ago, right? So 42 years I was in a male body. And I would produce, direct, and be in scenes, right? And then edit everything. So I had the great privilege of having a sexual fantasy and then dressing up the people who I were really attracted to and acting out my fantasy. And then that art made me a lot of money, you know? So it was like, what a blessing, you know? And I did the shit out of that for years. And now that I am a girl, I can see backwards. I was dressing them up because I wanted to be them. You know what I mean? Like I wanted, and I got to direct them and like run the scene. And it was almost like a similar way a lot of trans women before they come out only play video games where they can play women, you know? Then that's been my case. Like, I got really into, there's a video game called Fallout where you can be a woman.
I love Fallout.
Fallout.
And so fun.
Play the shit out of Fallout, but only as a girl. And like, I wasn't into Tony Hawk Pro Skater until they had a girl character that you could create. And then Grand Theft Auto, never really got into it because even though it's a fucking dope game, you can't be a chick, and except for GTA 5, but then it's not, I don't know, it's not like what I want. It's like just a thing. Like a lot of us trans people subconsciously just want to be girls. So we play anyway. So now I get to be one of the girls, you know, and I love that. I still have like I paid a Dom. I don't know if you know Red, Dom named Red. Anyway, she's cool as shit. I went to the Crown and paid her to like squeeze my balls and hurt me. And I jerked off and it came so hard. I'm still into that, but I'm very picky about who I would be any kind of submissive to. Like, I guess if I could think of anyone in New York, I would definitely do that with Red again. And then my friend Jolene Hart, I feel like very safe with, you know, like Jolene can basically do whatever she wants to me, you know, but outside of that.
It's good to be picky, in my opinion, when you're subbing.
Yeah.
It's such a privilege for people to witness you in that state.
It is. And when I was reckless as a guy, you know, and honestly, I get to be picky now that I'm a blonde with big boobs and like I have somewhat of a following and stuff. And so I can be picky. I didn't always get that. I didn't always have that. And now that I do, I just feel safer. I haven't let anyone bind me at all. Well, I have chains on my bed with leather cuffs. But it's like bondage it's cute bondage, you know, like they're loose chains. So I had an ex I would let chain me up, but if I really had to, I could not get out of it, but I could still defend myself if I had to. I haven't let anyone really bind me in probably 5 or 6 years, you know, but Kiss Me Dead Me Doll and I are going to play, I think into June.
Oh, fun. So, she's coming on this podcast tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah. She's someone I've seen her tie my friend Heavy and just witnessing that, I was like, oh, this is actually cool. Cause she's like, I saw her do that and she's playing like a, you don't want to say child because it's grown up shit, but you know what I mean? She's playful with it. Yeah. And there's a spirit in the room with that I enjoyed just being a part of. And I was like, that feels safe. This is someone I feel safe tying me. So, and I like subby stuff. I just, you know, I don't feel safe so much with it. And
absolutely.
Yeah, it's tricky. And, you know, trans misogyny is a thing. So like, you know, we still don't, we got to be picky as trans girls. So with who we let top us. But I like topping. I like doming too. And it's fun.
And you're fantastic at it.
Thank you. You are too. I loved watching you fuck. I mean, that was hot.
Yeah, pegging. Oh, I do love a good pegging. And that was when I was hungover too. I was like dead and hungover. You should see me when I'm energetic and at my fucking prime.
No, I was watching you. Yeah, I totally came in backs watching you fuck them.
Thank you.
Which like
I'm so honored.
yeah.
See, I also know that recently you started the Down Divas suicide hotline for people who don't know about it. Can you talk about what you've been doing, all the volunteer work and the fundraising?
Sure. So where to start? So under our current administration, here's the why, right? If a trans woman like me were to tell the wrong person she's suicidal, she would get locked up in a male psych ward and detransitioned. Or at least there's a really good chance of that. Like we don't get to pick, you know. Before Trump, we would have had more say in that. Like, oh, I get to go to a female facility where I'm not going to get raped all night and lose my boobs and hormones and all that kind of stuff. So because of that being so scary, a lot of trans women just aren't asking for help. They're not getting the mental health stuff they need. We're losing our mental health rights anyway. But a lot of us aren't calling any kind of hotline or asking for help because we just are terrified of getting locked up like that. So the suicide rate for trans women is just through the roof now. It's like up 75% from where it was pre-Trump. And we already were the most suicidal gender, right? So it's bad. Anywho, I used to run a suicide hotline that was underground for years when I lived in Virginia, and it worked. I mean, we saved a lot of lives. It wasn't professionals. It was just people picking up the phone and listening and not calling the cops. You know, that was it. So I started Down Divas recently, and it's running now. We need more volunteers, and we need some funding to get it where it needs to be, to get 24-hour coverage. And but it's going well. We've saved some lives so far. We're just trying to get that first round of funding done and then become a 501c3 and then get sponsorship and stuff like that. So I've been hosting events like little fundraisers. We got one coming up Friday in Bushwick at a dive bar. It's called Humanize. It's going to be dope. It's hookers performing our art at a dive bar and then taking donations. And I started a little merch company called Fear the Dolls. And if you're familiar with Pedro Pascal's T-shirt that got really popular, it says "Protect the Dolls." It's just a white T-shirt. Those have been selling. A lot of celebrities are wearing them, and they're like $80 or something like that. And it's just a T-shirt. And it's questionable where that money's going. There has been some question as to like, does that go to help trans people or not? And I saw that and I was like, well, anybody can make, it's a Bella Canvas Unit 3001 T-shirt. Like I've been in merch before. So I was like, I know what T-shirt that is. I know what font that is. So I just made one that crosses out "Protect" and it says "Fear the Dolls." It's like with pink lipstick. So it's more fierce and cute. And those are for sale at fearthedolls.com. And it's only $20. So we're doing that to raise some funds. There's some other really quirky queer gear to buy at fearthedolls.com. And Pride's coming up, so straight people all need their like one item of flair to wear, you know, at their one Pride party. So we're hoping to make a little money with that. And all the money from that goes directly to saving trans lives. It's just right into Down Divas. And, you know, our costs aren't insane, but we need to pay an admin to run it. We got to pay some lawyers for liability stuff. And I don't think I mentioned the people that pick up the phone at that suicide hotline, they're all sex workers. So I did it that way because they have to be really good at not calling the cops, but solving problems. And hookers are good at that. And could have been drug dealers, but I only know like 3 drug dealers, but I know like a lot of hookers, you know? So it's just a bunch of sex workers helping people, you know? So we're looking for volunteers and we're looking for funding, you know?
Yeah, it's a really amazing group of people who work on this. And like, it's really amazing that you started this too, especially like under this current administration. The severity of it, you were talking with me about this earlier, where right now, if you are committed to a psych ward, it is a forced detransition.
Yeah.
Right? So they are taking out implants and not giving you hormones on top of the psychological risk of being in the wrong gendered, you know, facility with a lot of other people who are, you know, going through their own crises. So for this hotline is, I think, like more important than ever to exist.
Sure. Like I know I can just speak for myself. Being blonde with big boobs, locked up with a bunch of mentally unstable men won't go well. I mean, I most likely would get violent to defend myself in a rape situation. And then I got to go to prison. And it's these days, male prison. And that's like a nightmare to me, you know?
Yeah.
Female prison, that's different. I'm gay, so like, I could start a nice little polycule in there. Maybe it'd be cute. I'd be very popular. My dick works, I don't know. But male prison, that's hell. I don't know. I'd rather die, So thus, many trans women are killing themselves. So that's why we're doing it. And the calls we've been taking have been good. We've been saving lives. Because people, they want a human to talk to that doesn't give them back the chatbot bullshit of like, don't you know life is worth living? Or don't you know people are going to miss you? What's your family going to say after you die? You don't want to do that. When you're really suicidal, you've already thought of that shit. You're past that.
Yeah.
And you just want a human to like listen and just be there for you. And what you perceive as one of your final moments because you're fucking suicidal. Like, I don't know. I've been there, and everyone I was talking to, I was like, this might be my last conversation I ever have. So having a hooker pick up the phone and respect that, honor that, is what saves people's lives. Because when people do honor that and you're that vulnerable, it gives you a little bit of, well, maybe I could live another day. You know what I mean? Like, all right.
I think it makes a huge difference to have a sex worker be the one talking instead of saying like a clinical therapist who's trying to like do some check boxes to make sure you're not doing an act rather than sitting with you in that darkness in that moment, which I think makes all the difference. So
a lot of people have been concerned about like, well, they're suicidal. What if we say the wrong thing? We're just hookers. So there is training, of course. I've gotten some mental health professionals to sit in on designing the training. But it honestly, it was pretty intuitive on what not to say and what to say. But I did run it by some pros, just to make sure, we're not causing damage out there. But in the end of the day, it's anonymous on both ends, and it's just about human respect, and that, one human respecting another in a very vulnerable time, and that's what's needed right now.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on, Lucy. And make sure you check out Down Divas. Make sure you check out her movie. And I can't wait to see you around soon.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this episode of Uncensored with MX Tommy. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're a very good sub. And don't forget to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon, and all the other apps that I'm on. I'll see you on the next one.